Hey everybody, this is Dr. Scott Keller with Dr. Scott Keller Functional Medicine. And today I have an awesome topic to talk about. We're just going to briefly touch on it, not go into all the details, but you're going to take something away from this. So make sure you tune in for this whole thing. All right. So we're going to talk about stress. Now, stress comes in a lot of forms, and you're going to start seeing me try to share my screen here in a second. Stress comes in a lot of forms, right? Three main categories of stress that I talk about all day, every day with patients is physical stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress, right? So now here, what you're going to see is Hans Selye, who was a researcher, clinician, back in the day. He came up with this general adaptation syndrome. So really what you can see is on the far left, this green box, that's good health, that's homeostasis. That means our stress response in our body is under control. So over time, we have a good resistance to the stressors in our life. So we're able to handle physical stressors. Our body can heal, it can regulate all of these good things which it's intended to do. With emotional stress, which causes a stress response, hormonal changes, gut changes, all of these things, we still have a good resistance built up to it. So we can handle those stressors. We can come down from that heightened stress response, even with emotional stress. And lastly, chemical stress. Chemical stress this day and age is huge. It's a huge topic. It's harder now than it ever has been in history. Just think about the air we breathe, the environment we live in our homes and at works with chemicals, the things we clean our surfaces with that are soaking right into our skin. Think about the products that you're using. What are you putting on your skin that directly is absorbed into your bloodstream, right? Deodorants and makeups and lotions and all of these things, body washes and shampoos. Look at the labels. They're full of chemicals. And the sad reality is, so many of the chemicals that are still allowed to be put in the products that we're using every day in America have been banned in other countries, in Europe, in other countries around the world, because they know, and it's been shown in the evidence, in the science, that these are terrible things for our health, right? They're toxic. So how does your body filter out toxicity? Well, the liver, the kidneys, we have methods inside built into us to detoxify. The problem is that it's so overwhelming, we can't keep up. Our liver, our kidneys, our gut, it just cannot keep up. So that's why you have to do everything you can to minimize and mitigate these three areas of stress. You got to help your body. You only have one body, so act like you only have one body. Take care of your body physically. Do some mobility, do some stretching, exercise, walk, yoga, Pilates. I mean, whatever it is, you got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your emotional health too, whether that's self-care practices, going on walks, getting sunlight first thing in the morning to help with stress responses, deep breathing exercises, quiet time, practicing gratitude, prayer, meditation. The list can go on and on and on. We're going to go into more of those details in another day and another time. I'm doing a talk next week, if you're seeing this in May, what is it, May 28th, 2024, on stress. And we're going to go in depth with all of this, but then also the chemical toxicity. How do you get rid of that? Well, that's going to come with food and lifestyle choices, nutrition, but also there's a lot of great supplements that can pull heavy metals out of your body that we get through our food and other exposures. I mean, there's so many things you can do, right? But a lot of us just don't know where to start and what to do. So what happens on this path here from this good health, we have this alarm stage, right? So things are going on and we're starting to get more stress. And it's like, warning, warning, your body sends all sorts of signals. Now, in this stage, you can oftentimes get some symptoms of things, right? And then if that continues and we don't mitigate, we don't take care of, we don't manage, we move into this resistance stage. And then eventually, you're going to crash and burn. The exhaustion zone or stage is, I mean, it can look like a lot of things to people. It can be chronic fatigue. It can be burnout. It can be, no energy. It can be all sorts of health struggles, right? Gut issues, hormone issues, thyroid, mental health, brain health. The list can go on forever because the reality is that in some way, shape, or form, Hans Selye's general adaptation syndrome plays into every single disease, process, and condition known to man in some shape or form. Okay. One of those three stress categories, physical, emotional, chemical, and most of the time it's a combination of all three, lead to these responses in our body. It changes our biochemistry. It changes our physiology. It changes our neurochemistry to the point where we get to this red zone and then boom, you have a full-blown disease. You have a full-blown illness. Your body can't keep up anymore, right? So this is important stuff to know, to realize. But now the main thing is you got to take action. What are the action steps going to be? Are you just going to sit by and like have all the knowledge in the world and not do anything about it? Or are you going to take steps to fix this in yourself? So this is a simpler kind of version of it. But basically, internal plus external stresses times time equals your total stress load. So I think I said it a minute ago, but stress in those three categories is cumulative over time. It's not like the stress I have today and then I wake up tomorrow and it's a new day. These stressors are added together, and over time, especially if you're not decreasing them, mitigating them, getting rid of them, right? So the internal stressors, what's going on inside of our body, inside of our brain, plus the external stressors, maybe things we can't control, right? The amount of pesticides and herbicides that are dumped on our food. You can manage that to some degree because you can buy some organic things, but you can't eliminate all of it. You have no control over that unless you grow all your own food, which would be amazing. Total self-sufficiency. External stressors of the air we breathe, right? Our water sources, we can do a lot with that. We can get filtration systems, and you need to do that. I sure hope nobody's drinking tap water anymore these days, because it has been shown to be so terrible in most scenarios, in most places of the world. But all of these external stressors, you guys get the point. And then you multiply that by time. Like, how long have you been alive? This is why the longer you live, the more stress that's been accumulated, why people develop things as they get older. It's not just getting older, it's this equation coming into real life play, right? So this is where you see some people who are 70 years old who look like they're 40, and some 70-year-old people who look like they're 120. Like, I guarantee we plug these things into an equation, what's happened in their life. The people who look a lot older, there's no fountain of youth, but you sure can change things, like how you look, how you feel, how you function. It's not all about looks, of course. Someone can look really healthy and be very unhealthy. I see that all the time too. I see people who check all the boxes. They exercise, they eat well. That was me, for goodness sake. But I still had so many issues that were deep down, deeply rooted inside of me. So digging these things out in every one of those categories is so important. So stress accumulation basically looks like this. The external things: finances, emotions, spiritual, relationships, business, family, all of these things are the external stressors. Internal stressors: gut issues, inflammation, parasites, viruses, hormones. So many things we're putting in our body, on our body, right? So it's like dragging a steel ball up a hill, right? Like, you can power through it. You can put your head down and probably get to the top. But man, there's going to be a lot of consequences with that. Oftentimes that ball is going to roll down. We're going to get weak. We're going to get exhausted. We're not going to make it to the top of that mountain, and boom, then we have to start over, right? And so we do not want that to happen. So here's probably the last thing I'm going to cover in this short talk is nervous system 101. Many of you guys have probably heard this before, but your nervous system is fascinating. It controls and coordinates everything in our whole body, right? Every movement, every cell, everything. What we're going to focus on real quick is what's called the autonomic nervous system. So down on the lower left. This has two divisions, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic division is kind of known as your fight or flight, right? Your arousal, fight, flight, freeze mechanism. The parasympathetic division is your rest, digest, heal, grow, right? Homeostasis, good health. I mean, that's that. But you have to have both of these. This is the key. You have to have both of them, but they have to work in conjunction with each other all day, every millisecond of the day. Your nervous system is giving your brain feedback. Your brain's giving your body feedback on what to do, how to manage things. And if you have dysregulation in this autonomic nervous system part of yourself, of your body, of your nervous system, things are going to get dysregulated. Okay. So this is such a crucial thing to understand. So think about it like this. Here's your car. You're driving your car. You got a gas pedal. That's the sympathetic, fight, flight, boom, giving you gas. The brake pedal is the parasympathetic, rest, digest, slow down, heal. And then this little thing you see on the screen is your RPMs, right? You hit the gas, what happens to the RPMs? They go high. but eventually they come back down because your car knows how to regulate. So that's what our nervous system needs to do, regulate. Okay, we need to know when to push the gas, how much to push the gas. We need to know when to apply the brake, how much to apply the brake, how quickly to apply the brake, right? So, such an easy analogy to think about. So here you go. The brake pedal, the parasympathetics, and the sympathetics. Okay, a little bit more about the three, or those two, with the three T's, the three stresses, the trauma, the physical stress, the thoughts, the emotional stress, the toxins, the chemical stress, right? This affects this part of the nervous system. So depending on how much of this you have in your life and for how long, it really has affected the autonomic nervous system. Okay, so stress is cumulative in nature. That's not good. That's what we just talked about. Okay, so the parasympathetics slow the body down, rest, recover, heal. Your digestive system and immune system are at more ease. So this is where those things can flourish, your digestion. So if you're stressed out all the time and you're constipated, I mean, don't just take more fiber. That's not the answer. The answer is to regulate your nervous system. Think about it. You're stressed out all the time. You're in sympathetic fight flight mode all the time. That's doing a lot of bad things for you, but one of those is going to be some digestive issues more than likely. Okay, some immune system issues. You get a cold and it lasts 2 weeks instead of 2 days. You get the flu and everybody else is over it quickly and you're like continue to be fatigued and joint pain and body pain and all the things, fevers for too long. You can't kick the sick because your immune system is not working effectively. Improved vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a brain cranial nerve, comes down, innervates and controls our entire digestive system. So this is how the brain, the gut, the brain, the body connection is so intricate and intimate that the vagus nerve, you can do a lot of great things to improve vagal nerve function, right? Which is going to improve the regulation of sympathetic, parasympathetic, okay? So even mental health therapists, right? Psychologists, psychiatrists, if they're good, they know and they use these types of things. They use techniques to teach people how to get out of sympathetic drive and start getting in parasympathetic drive, how to balance this whole system out. So a million techniques, but breath work, meditation, gratitude, tapping, cold showers. I mean, we've all heard of cold plunging. That's a parasympathetic activation thing. It's a nervous system regulation thing. Humming, singing, sighing. I mean, there's so many things that improve vagus nerve function. And if we incorporate those through our day, through our life, we can really help regulate this a lot. Inflammation, right? Inflammation is a sympathetic response. So you have fight, flight, high stress in all of these areas for a long time. You're going to have a ton of inflammation, and inflammation is underlying every single injury, every single disease process, every single condition known to man. There's inflammation in your body. Okay, sympathetics. This decreases your immune function if you're in sympathetic. So if you're, boom, I scare you, I jump out, and you're like, that's going to activate your sympathetic nervous system. And hopefully it does, because there are some people where the sympathetic nervous system, the gas pedal, is so stressed out for so long, it literally starts running out of gas and it starts shutting down, and they don't have a sympathetic response, which is not good either. We need that sympathetic response in our body. Okay, we need the gas pedal to go, right? So that's important. But if I scare you and your sympathetics, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your stress hormones, all kind of jack up, your adrenaline, your cortisol, jack up. How long does it take you to come down out of that? And so, unfortunately, for a lot of us, the chronic stress of life, always going, always busy, always running from one thing to the next, always worrying, always anxiety, always fearful, always physical stress. I'm in constant pain. My knee always hurts. My back always hurts. I got headaches all the time. Oh my gosh. And then the chemical stress. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not doing anything to mitigate that. You see how this process starts going? I mean, it's such a vicious cycle that can continue to roll and roll and roll, right? And that parasympathetic nervous system is just like shut down. It's fighting for its life, but it just can't. It can't overpower this sympathetic gas pedal drive. Okay. Decreased digestive function. So you cannot be in sympathetic drive and have immune and digestive function work optimally. Okay. I just said this, but when you have a sympathetic response, cortisol, which is one of our stress hormones produced by the adrenal glands, goes up. What's the problem with that if it's chronically or all the time elevated? Well, there's a lot. Okay. There's a lot. It's going to drive more inflammation. One thing that I know is going to hit with a lot of you is weight loss resistance, weight gain. How does that have to do with this? Well, here's the science, because we all probably heard stress causes all these things. Stress can cause me to gain weight. Stress can cause me to have all these things, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's true. And here's why. Cortisol released into your bloodstream causes blood sugar, stored sugars, to be released into your bloodstream. So it elevates your blood sugar level. So then hopefully we have a properly functioning pancreas. The pancreas secretes insulin. Insulin's job is to find that blood sugar in the bloodstream and tell it to go somewhere out of the blood, because we don't want elevated blood sugar levels, because that's inflammation central. So heart disease, arteriosclerosis, clogged arteries, it's not cholesterol's fault, y'all. You've been led to believe something that's not true. Cholesterol starts to plaque, yes, but the first thing is the damage to the vessels because of the inflammation, and a lot of that has to do with blood sugar. Okay, so cholesterol lowering medications are not the answer. It's part of a puzzle potentially for you. Not saying to get off of those. You need to consult with people about that. But lowering inflammation, lowering blood sugar levels is such an important thing. Okay, so then what? So the insulin tells the blood sugars to go somewhere. Guess where it tells the blood sugar to go? Fat cells. Okay, so if you think, man, I do everything. I've decreased my calories, I exercise, I can't lose weight, can't lose weight. You need to check your stress levels and your cortisol. Because if you're chronically elevated, increased blood sugar, not good at, because that's inflammation. Increased insulin, insulin's going to tell them to go, well, we need to get you out of the bloodstream, go store yourself in fat, right? So weight loss resistance central right here. Okay, so I hope that speaks to someone. Check stress. Get someone to help you with stress, and I'd love to be that person. Decreased vagal tone. We talked about the vagus nerve, how important it is. It runs your digestive system. It also has, here's the other thing about the vagus nerve. You can go read about it all you want, but here's the basics. It controls our gut, number one. Okay, so number one. Number two, it does have branches that go to the heart and the lungs. So that's kind of important too, right? Proper respiration, proper heart, all that stuff. But here's the other thing. It has a branch that goes right into the middle of the brain to the part called the amygdala. What does that area do? Behavior, social, emotional regulation control center. So anxiety, depression, ADHD in you or your kiddos, that's the area of the brain that's not regulating properly. That can be, okay, so is the answer just a medication to like help neurotransmitters? I'm not going to tell you no, it's not ever needed, because sometimes it probably is. But is that the answer? Is that getting to the root cause? No. Okay. Vagus nerve is probably all jacked up. Maybe your gut's jacked up, causing the vagus nerve to be jacked up. This is where the gut brain, I said but I mean the butt's involved too, because you got to poop for the digestive system to be healthy. But the gut brain connection here. ADHD kids, clean up their diet, get the chemical stress out of their life, get them eating whole healthy food. Help them with their emotional health, help them with their physical growing, their growth, right? And you're going to see changes in your child's behavior. Okay, the ADHD symptoms, the OCD, the anxiety, the depression, right? Getting them the right vitamins and minerals. There's been study after study that show things like omega-3 and vitamin D and zinc, like literally work better than medications for some of this stuff. Like there's studies that show this. So why is it not mainstream yet for that to be the recommendation? Don't know. I could guess. I won't go down that rabbit hole. So you guys are getting my point here. I'm going on a lot of tangents, but this is so crucial. From this one slide, there's so much that you can take in and take from this. What else do I have on here? Basically, if you're in sympathetic gas pedal overdrive, you're going to be increased in susceptibility. Well, susceptibility to what? Well, everything. Injuries, chronic pain, recovery. You won't recover like you should. Man, I'm 41 and I feel like I'm 80, or I'm 80 and I feel like I'm 120. It doesn't matter. It's like you just feel like your body is not functioning like it should, right? Inflammation, illnesses, hormone dysregulation, blood sugar dysregulation, cardiovascular issues. I mean, gosh, the mental health stuff, all of that stuff. You're more susceptible if this system is dysregulated. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe this will be the last slide. I think I said that last time, but this is all important stuff. There's an intimate and very intricate balancing act our nervous system has every single millisecond of every day. So reiterate that because it's important, because that's the point. Are we dominant in our sympathetics? Are you stressed out? Are you full of anxiety? Do you feel run down? Do you feel burnout? Are you always on the go? Do you worry a lot? Okay. These are definitely signs that you are, right? Sympathetic dominant. Are we dominant in our parasympathetics? Because we don't, even though it looks good on paper, rest and digest and heal and grow. And that's great. We need it, but you cannot be dominant in it because, like I said, that means you've run out of gas in the sympathetic and now you're dominating with the grip brake pedal. Think about that. Push the brake pedal on your car all day. What's going to happen? Well, number one, you're not going anywhere. And number two, that's going to wear the brakes out eventually. If you're going and then you slam on the brakes, then you go and you slam on the brakes, that's going to wear the brake pads out. It's not good for the car. Over time, you're going to have to get things changed. So this would look like chronic fatigue, no motivation, depression, chronic long-term stress, etc. When should we be in each of these? You fluctuate in and out easily between the two, right? Like what about nighttime? Like nighttime, you should be in parasympathetic. If you're not sleeping well, you're not in parasympathetic, right? Like if you wake up a lot, if you have trouble falling asleep, if you wake up and your mind is racing, you're worrying, whatever, right? So then you talk about poop. Why do I have poop on here? Well, if your parasympathetics are active all night long, right? That's the rest, digest, pass things through. What should happen pretty early in the morning if everything's regulating? You should poop. You should poop pretty early in the morning. It's almost like clockwork since I healed my gut and my energies increased, my hormones got all regulated. It was all tied to my gut. I used to poop probably once a day, sometime in the middle of the day. Now it's like within 15 minutes of waking up, I better be in the bathroom, right? It's not like an emergency, right? And not like that's because that's a whole nother issue. If you have an emergency, like, oh my gosh, I got to get now, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, all those kind of things, right? But it's like, this should happen. And you should probably go more than once a day. Okay. If you eat more than once a day, you should go more than once a day. That's another conversation for another day. What consequences are there if this is not functioning optimally? Well, fill in the blank. Like I said, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. So many things, so many things. How does it impact my fitness, recovery, injuries? If you're worried about like musculoskeletal, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, all of these kind of things, this balance in your nervous system slows recovery, decreases healing, and decreases your overall potential. I mean, just plain and simple. Okay. So I am going to stop there. You can kind of just look at this slide, right? So a lot of us will be able to relate to one of these. If you're what's called your HPA axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal gland axis, this brain kind of body connection again. This is our stress response. You can either be hyper responsive or hypo responsive. You can either be too reactive, too sympathetic, which is what that means, or hypo would be too parasympathetic, too exhausted. So you can see which one of these people are you? Are you stressed and wired all the time, like you're on caffeine all the time? Are you stressed and worried? Are you physically exhausted or are you emotionally and mentally exhausted? Usually people fit into one of these categories. Sometimes I used to kind of go between the two or two or three of these. That's not good either, because that means your system's really dysregulated and it's trying its hardest to kind of like figure things out, but it's not regulating. Okay, so stress, stress, stress. Physical stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. All areas of your life that you need to evaluate. Okay, sit down and just start writing it out. What are the physical stressors? What are the emotional stressors? What are the chemical stressors? How can I set some reasonable, sustainable goals on each of these areas and start chipping away? Start taking some action, right? Try not to go cold turkey on everything because usually that leads to failure, right? But be disciplined with the small things over time. If you make a commitment to changing one thing per week, think about that, one thing per week. So week one, I'm going to get rid of all the plastic food containers and I'm going to buy glass. That's going to reduce a ton of chemical stress in you and your family. That could be week one. Simple, easy, sustainable. Week two, I'm no longer going to cook in now that I have the glassware, I'm not going to cook in plastic, like in the microwave, frozen vegetables. I mean, whatever it is, you don't cook in plastic. Please don't ever do that again. So bad for you. So many chemicals are getting into your food and now into your system. Okay, so you're going to cook in the glassware that you just got. Week 3, you're going to start doing some yoga, some mobility, some easy things, and visit my YouTube channel. I have so many things on there from the past years as far as that kind of stuff. Get some help in that area. You're going to start walking more per day. Set the goal of 10,000 steps a day, 8,000 steps a day, whatever. Work your way up. You guys get the point. One easy, sustainable goal per week. And by the end of that 6 months, by the end of that year, you will completely have transformed your life. Okay. Now, it's not going to solve every health struggle and health condition that you have, probably. More than likely, it's going to take some help, some expertise from someone like myself in functional medicine, etc. And with that, I will say you can always set up a free consultation call for me. Just visit my social media pages, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I have links to the free call on there. I will try to remember to put that down below as well. Schedule a free call with me. Let's talk about your life. Let's talk about your health. Let's see what you need to do. Right? Take action. Take an action step in your own life, in your own health. You have one life, you have one body. Take care of it. And if you need extra help, get a hold of me. All right, everybody. Recording done. Have a great day. Bye-bye.